Right, folks, how do we measure stress when you're working out? We use foot-pounds. This is a way. It's not always convenient or easy to use. It is something that we used to get taught in CrossFit in the earlier days of the level 1 seminar and all that, but it's a measure of how much work are you accomplishing. So for just absolute ease, for absolute simplicity, we're saying that if I move 10 pounds of weight 1 foot through a range of motion, so say I'm doing a bicep curl, and it's about 1 foot. It is actually about 1 foot of range of motion for the range of motion that we'll be demonstrating anyways. If I lift 10 pounds and put it down, I've done 1 rep, I've done 10 foot-pounds of work. Okay, so if I do 10 reps, that's 100 foot-pounds of work. So I can say, like, if we're working with that 10-pound weight, I do 10 reps and I hit pure fatigue. I hit absolute fatigue. I can't go anymore. Okay, great. We have a metric for stress. Now, the next time I do these, I want to aim to do like 11, 12 reps, and that gives me another score. So, but there's a bit of a problem when we're doing this. So let's say I'm going to do drag curl. So I will be keeping it close to my body, and we're going to be going from the range of motion of, if I'm locked out here, I'm slightly above that, and I'm going to pull only up to about my forearms being parallel to the floor. This is 40 kilos. We'll see how much that is in pounds. And in the next part of the video, I'll have that converted and show how much work that we actually did. Because seriously, we're going to show what is the trouble with free weights versus variable resistance in terms of creating this stress score. So, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 can no longer hit full range, 15, 16, 17, let's try to get to 20. Nah. So that was about like 15 reps to my rib cage, hitting to about forearms being parallel to the floor. That was the highest point intentionally that I was aiming for. We'll say that was about a foot range of motion or so for simplicities. Now let's look at what the math actually looks like for the stress score. Okay, so foot-pounds is a really easy measurement to use. If you cover 1 foot of distance with X amount of weight, you've covered X foot-pounds. So in that demonstration of the barbell drag curls, I basically did about 10 full reps covering about 1 foot of distance. So basically covering my belly from my groin up to the base of my rib cage. And that's how I was measuring full range. Can I get the bar level with the very bottom of the front of my ribs? And then 8, we'll say half reps, just to make it simple. It diminished each and every time for that. So 40 kilos, it's 88 pounds. So I did 10 reps at 88 pounds, so 880 foot-pounds of work. So we can score those first 10 reps with 880. That was technically my stress score. That's what we can use this for. Plus the 8 partial reps wouldn't actually be quite this high, but it does give us a very convenient number when we use the actual decimals in the calculator, which gives me a total score of stress on my biceps for that set at 1,234.5. So that's like the score. So I could use something like this, and it could be like the next time I do drag curls, I'm trying to beat that score. Well, here's a more convenient way of doing it. Okay, so if we're using foot-pounds as a score of like stress on my muscles when I'm doing these workouts, that's really easy to use when it's a static weight. Because if I'm picking up an 88 kilo or an 88 pound barbell, at the bottom it's 88 pounds, at the top it's 88 pounds. That's easy. But what happens when it comes to variable resistance and the resistance is changing every millimeter you move through a range? Now, something we have to understand, and we have to remember that this is in the context of we are rehabbing injured athletes. So you've hurt your elbow. We want to still be able to stimulate strength and power through your forearm and through your bicep, through your triceps, so that we can stimulate as much circulation and as much healing and continue to increase testosterone and human growth hormone and such as we are healing, so that you heal way faster, so that you tamp down on your pain, so that you can get back to your sport faster than ever. Okay, so with variable resistance, things change. So with that barbell demonstration I did at the start of this, I got up to 1,234 foot-pounds of tension. That was my load on my biceps through that set. And that's about as much as I could pick up. It's as much as I could pick up. That's the thing. When I'm at the bottom of my bicep curl position, that's where I'm weakest. It's in the middle range where you're actually strongest, okay? So check this out. When I'm at the very bottom, this is where I'm weakest. And especially if we make it a rule that you have to start off with your elbows locked out, you are starting off from the weakest, least advantageous position possible. So you're going to be able to pick up the least amount of weight through that position, which means that you are going to subject your body to the least amount of stress possible, because you can't pick up that much. Okay? If you just simply said, okay, you can start here, elbow slightly bent, because why not? You can subject your muscles to a lot more load, a lot more force, a lot more stress, a lot more foot-pounds. Okay? Let's see what this looks like with the X3 dark gray Paraforce band. What we're going to do is record this workout using the X3 app. So remember this is always in pounds. Remember the barbell I was lifting earlier got up to, it was about 88 pounds. It was 40 kilos. So 88 pounds. And I was starting with that 88 pounds at about here. So about where my belt buckle goes. That's reading at about 70, so about 35 kilos or so. And it goes up to just under 100. So I'm picking up technically less weight from that bottom position, which is fine because that's where I'm weaker. And at the top position, I can subject my biceps to a bit more than I could pick up otherwise. What that means is that I can do a lot more reps much more comfortably. So here I can much more effectively get to my rib cage, just because it's less work at the very bottom. It gives you a massive mechanical advantage with being able to do way more reps. What's my score? Just got over 3,000, and what was it before? Okay, so I'm going to do a set to absolute maximum fatigue. At the very most, I will do 40 reps. So we're at 12 now. I am talking a little bit quietly just because it is nighttime here and my family is asleep upstairs. So I'll do my best to not be screaming and shouting during this workout. Now, the biggest thing, this is starting to get heavy now. The biggest thing that I note on doing this sort of exercise is that when I was doing the barbell before, you could feel the strain in the elbows. The elbows were getting a lot of work. Here, I feel nothing in the elbows. It is entirely in my forearm and in my biceps, which are burning now. Okay, so I've done about almost 7 times the work. Disconnected. No, we reconnected. Because I'm screen recording at the same time, sometimes the connection gets kind of wonky, or at least it seems to be kind of funky when I'm doing a video recording and using the X3 bar app all at the same time. I'll get a new phone eventually that can handle it all. I can't even reach my belly button now. I'm just below it, but I can keep doing some partial reps for a few more reps. Well, we're having connection issues with that, but you can still see the screen. It's fine. To look back and see what that actually finished at, just because there's too much going on in my phone at once. Oh well. Okay, so you get the idea. You can do the pump that you feel in your muscles is crazy. And the vascularity is always fun with that. Now, I've always been a skinny guy, and I've never been able to put on much muscle, but I can put on some vascularity sometimes. And this has allowed me to get about as beefy as I think I can. We're just going to forget that. So I didn't record it at all, but I'll be able to look back at what it was in the video. But you get the idea. There is a massive, massive amount more stress on my biceps. That means that my biceps are going to develop and get a hell of a lot stronger from doing that one set than if I did. Last thing I saw was like over 8,000. So I'd have to do like over 8 sets like I did with the barbell. And it's going to be a lot more stress on my elbows. So if I'm suffering from, some elbow dysfunction and elbow injury, that's no good for me because that's just more stress. And I'm not getting as much stress on my biceps. That's what I want. And this is why we prefer this kind of training over free weight training. Significantly lesser chance of injury and re-injury, and significantly more gains in terms of muscular development and strength development.